Hello, my dear students. Good morning. Welcome back once again, and hoping you all are absolutely fine. So now, today we are going to discuss about a very interesting topic, that is Carnot's reversible heat engine, which is also called Carnot's ideal or impossible heat engine. Now, you have already learned that is what is heat engine all about in previous video. That is, it is a kind of machine or device in which heat energy is transmitted into mechanical energy, because this kind of machines perform some works using heat energy, which basically consisting of three basic components or parts. That is, one is hot body or source, then the next is called working substance, which is called fuel, which may be either gas, any gas or any liquid fuel, and the third part is the cold body, which is called sink. So basically in this heat engines what happens, that is, the working substance absorbs or takes heat from the hot body, then by absorbing that heat energy with that heat it performs some required work. After performing that work or doing that work, the remaining part of heat energy it gives out to the cold body or the sink, which is the basic working function of the normal heat engine in one directional. But what do you mean by the reversible heat engine? Because I have already discussed about reversible and irreversible process. That is the processes in which whatever happens in case of direct process in one directional, and if it restores while restoring or recovering back to the original condition, and if each and everything remains same, nothing is going to change in the reverse process. Only in that case, if it is possible, it is called reversible process. It means whatever is happened in case of direct process, and if by achieving each and everything it can restore or recover, retrieve its original state, then in this case reversible process, when the condition is that nothing is going to be changed. Suppose you are just traveling from, someone is traveling from Bardhaman to Calcutta, any two places. So through some vehicle, maybe some bus or train or any car whatsoever, so there obviously be the vehicle must have some definite speed, there will be some condition of the road, traffic jam, then the temperature, the pressure, isn't it, the humidity, each and everything. So there will be some definite condition during the first journey, during the direct journey. Now while returning from the Calcutta to the Bardhaman, if everything is just going to just unchanged, exactly what happened in case of the during the initial journey, if exactly happens, nothing is going to be changed. The road condition, temperature, pressure, the velocity, the exactly time period, whatever, then it restored its original position, everything. Only in that case it is called reversible process, and which is absolutely impossible. So it means only heat engine, in case of normal heat engine, it generally takes up heat, does some work, rest part of heat energy it returns, gives out to the cold body or the sink. Then somehow, if it is possible that it restore its original condition, that is whatever heat energy it gives out to the sink, then if it absorbs same amount of energy, then in the first case the gas does work, it is called work done by the gas against external pressure. So heat engine generally absorbs it, does work itself, which is called work done by the gas or by the working substance, gives out heat to the sink. Then if it is possible, whatever be the amount of heat energy it gives out to the given out to the sink, it absorbs exactly that amount of heat energy. Then in that case it was work done by the gas, then work is done on the gas, then if it is gives out the heat energy, whatever it absorbs from the hot body it returns back, gives out, then in that case it is possible, then in that case it is called reversible heat engine, which is absolutely impossible. It means during any process, if any body or system happens from A to B, suppose by absorbing some heat energy, then if it can restore or return from B to A by rejecting that same amount of energy, isn't it? Or if any body or any system goes from state A to B, isn't it, by giving out some energy, then again it returns from B to A by absorbing same amount of energy, same amount of heat energy, it is called reversible process. So it means a process has to be reversible if neither any condition, temperature, pressure, everything has nothing going to remain exactly the same, later by point, then it is called reversible process. In case of heat engine, what happens? In case of heat engine, generally the condition, the temperature of the hot body, that is the source and the sinks, generally changes with the surroundings, since it does some working substance. But in case of if the engine has to be reversible, then each and every nothing is going to be changed. So it means in case of a normal heat engine which basically works in one direction, and if it restore or recover its original condition by keeping everything same in each and every stage, only in that case it is called reversible engine according to reversible process. And why is it called ideal and impossible? Ideal means in our life nothing is possible to obtain in ideal condition. Ideal is just the term, ideal is related to imaginary concept, isn't it? In reality, it is absolutely impossible to get or obtain any ideal condition or ideal thing, isn't it? It's just like it is impossible for anybody to possess or to move at a speed of light. Anybody, it is impossible for having massless. So just like that, the concept, the word ideal is only imaginary concept. It's only possible in dream. Nothing can be 100% perfect, as we have seen in case of pulley system or any machine. Efficiency cannot be 100%. So ideal, the word ideal is only related to imagination. In vision, only we can dream about it. In our life, we cannot, any person, any machine, any country cannot be 100% perfect. So based on this, ideal means imaginary concept in vision, and impossible based on the reality. Since impossible in practical life or your daily life practice, it is impossible to obtain any ideal situation. So that's why it is called impossible, because it is impossible for any heat engine to be an exactly reversible. Impossible. So that's why it is called impossible heat engine. Then what is Carnot cycle? So Carnot cycle means generally whatever a process completes one journey, isn't it? Suppose, isn't it? Starting from journey, it completes, return back to its original position, isn't it? If anything returns to its original state. So in case of heat engine, generally the working substance takes it from the hot body, then performs some work, gives out the rest amount of it to the cold body or the same, then it returns back to the initial position. We generally call it a cycle, a complete cycle. If anybody from initial state returns back to its original state, it is called cycle. So in heat engine, generally working substance returns back to its original position and then repeats its work. So this is called one cycle. And in case of Carnot's heat engine or reversible, when the working substance completes a cycle, it is called Carnot cycle. Then we will see then how the Carnot's reversible heat engine works and what will be its function. Okay, it's an imaginary concept based on this Carnot cycle, and we will explain the working function or characteristics of this ideal heat engine based on Carnot cycle through PV diagram. So since Carnot's reversible heat engine is an imaginary concept, so it is impossible to come by or obtain such heat engine in reality in practice. Why? Because in that case there has to be no damping force. If any process, if the heat engine has to be reversible, come back to its original state from its hot body to working substance, then work done by the gas, then cold body heat by giving heat to cold body, then absorbing heat from the cold body, then work done on the gas, heat energy. If it has to be possible, there should not have been any frictional force, any sort of dissipative force, that is frictional force, damping force, opposing force, everything has to be absent. Temperature, pressure, everything is exactly equal. The process has to be very slow, which all those conditions are absolutely impossible in case of reality, in real life or practice. That's why it is called impossible. Okay, so now we will see that now why its name is Carnot, because the physicist or the scientist Carnot conceived this idea, and after his name it is called Carnot's heat engine or Carnot's reversible or impossible heat engine. And now we will see now why do you need this Carnot's heat engine, since in spite of it is impossible. Because in our life there are so many impossible or imaginary things, but in spite of that we try to follow it. It is impossible for a human being to become perfect. It is impossible for a machine or any device to work as a 100% efficient. It is impossible to get 100% marks, isn't it? But still we try. It is impossible to hit sixes on each and every ball, though it is possible in case of 1 over, but in the 50 over, 20 over, it is impossible. But still In spite of knowing that it is hard to come by, impossible, still we try. So in that case, based on this, the Carnot conceived an idea, the EPN heat engine can be made reversible. How will it work? So based on this, he imagined a design. If it is possible to create such a design, such an engine, how will it work? Based on this, he generally conceived this idea, and his imagination, in his imagination, he thought only his imagination. Okay, how will it work? We will just try to understand through Carnot cycle. Through a cycle, how a Carnot's reversible heat engine works using PV diagram. So you can see this imaginary Carnot's impossible imaginary heat engine components of 4 parts, isn't it? That is what we call cylinder. Number 1 is called cylinder, whose side walls are perfectly insulating. Each can be which are shown by dotted lines, okay, by the marked lines. The base is perfectly conducting, and inside the cylinder there is some working substance which is called gas is kept. Some gas is kept, and upon which there is a piston. There is a movable piston. Frictionless movable piston is there, upon which there are some arrangements to keep some weights. Then there is the hot body or source, which is at temperature T1. Then which is of infinite larger heat capacity. Clear? Then insulating stand, perfectly insulating stand. You can see all the sides, isn't it? Our walls are generally marked by the dotted lines, which are generally marked means they are insulating. Then there is a sink or cold body, which already know because heat energy consists of basic 3 parts. Okay, sink or cold body, again whose walls are insulating, but the upper base on which, okay, the base are perfectly conducting. So what happens in this case? The cylinder along with the which contains some gas are one by one generally placed gradually, step by step. At first on the source of the hot body, then on the insulating stand, then on the sink. Gradually in first 2 steps, at first source on the hot body, then on insulating stand. In these 2 processes, weights are generally one by one removed. Then it is placed on the sink, and finally on the insulating. And in the next 2 processes, weights are generally placed, and it completes a cycle. So now we will try to understand how the working substance undergoes through these 4 processes in Carnot cycle through PV diagram. So at first, the cylinder, isn't it, at first placed on the source of the hot body, and while placing on it, the weights are generally removed one by one. So as we all know that when it is gas, each and every time it gas exerts pressure each and every time. So whenever the weight is generally removed from it, suppose one weight is removed, so the gas will expand, it will just push, it will exert pressure on the piston, and since the piston is frictionless and removable, so it will push the piston in the upside. It means the gas will expand, and we all know that during expansion of gas, the gas itself does work, means work is done by the gas since it wants to expand. So it wants to expand, but the external pressure opposes its expansion. So that's why work is done by the gas. Since work is done by the gas, means to do this work, the gas needs some energy. And where will it get this energy? From its internal stored internal energy. So it means the internal energy will reduce, which means the temperature of the gas will fall down, decreases, which will result the gas will cool down. Means temperature decreases. But now since the gas, the cylinder is placed on the source of on the hot body, which is of infinitely larger heat capacity, the base is perfectly conducting. So as the temperature is decreasing, but now it is placed on the hot body, so whatever be the temperature falls during expansion of the gas, it will just absorb that amount of heat from the source. That is the amount of the heat rejection equals to amount of heat gain from the source. Remains the temperature will remain constant. So can you remember what does this process called? This is isothermal expansion. Why? Because that is exchange of heat. Slow process. During expansion of gas, the gas is losing some internal energy, temperature falls down, so temperature decreases, but at the same time it is placed on the hot body. So whatever be the temperature or heat it loses, it gains from the hot body, and temperature again balance its temperature, which I have already learned. That is isothermal expansion, which is shown by the graph AB in the PV diagram. It continues to the point B, because after that another expansion starts, which is called adiabatic expansion. Okay. So at first it is placed, temperature decreases, placing, since it is conducting material, there is no exchange of heat, it cannot escape or come. There is no exchange of heat through the walls, but through the base. That's why base is been conducting since it is placed on the hot body. Temperature decreases by losing heat, gaining that heat, it balances, temperature remains fixed. Okay. So isothermal expansion means temperature is remains constant. Now next step, the cylinder is placed on the insulating stand. Again the next weight, further weight is removed, so gas will further expand, further decrease in internal energy, which is caused further decrease in temperature. The gas means gas will further cool down. Now in this case there is no scope to absorb heat. Why? Since the stand is insulating, perfectly insulating stand, there is no exchange of heat between the cylinder, the base of the cylinder and the insulating stand. It is covered by the totally insulating materials. So in this case continuously there is no scope or probability to remain, to keep the temperature constant. So the temperature will gradually then further decrease. There is no exchange of heat, which is nothing but adiabatic expansion. So in both the cases work is done by the gas, since it is expansion, which is shown by the curve BC, which is up to, isn't it? Which is up to BC. Clear? Now in the next step, okay, it is placed on the sink. Now in the first case, when the work is done by the gas during placing on the stand, it is, isn't it, which is shown by the AB. So the work done by the gas represents by the area, isn't it, A, B, B dash, A dash, A. Very clear. And during adiabatic expansion, work done by the gas during this process is generally clear by the area B, C, C dash, B dash. Very clear. Now next step, the cylinder. So there are no weights on the piston. Now the cylinder is, next step is placed on the cold body. But now instead of removing, all the weights are now already removed. Now one by one it will be added on the piston. So when the cylinder is placed on the sink or the cold body, now one weight is placed. It is not expansion, it means it will put some pressure, it means the compression of gas, isn't it? So you all know that during compression of gas, work is done on the gas. So it means some energy is added, so its internal energy will increase, which will just leads to the result of the increase in temperature. So gas will become hot, isn't it? But again, so since one weight is placed very slowly, isn't it? So one is, isn't it, just placed on the piston. So it is compression of the gas. Compression. So, but in the case base is conducting, it is cold body. So due to compression of the gas, what is done on the gas, instead of decreasing internal energy, here internal energy of the gas will increase, which in turn means it will heat it up, temperature will rise. But now it is since placed on the cold body, so temperature increases. But since it is placed on the cold body, so some amount of energy it will just give out to the cold body and temperature remains constant, exchanging it. So it means it is isothermal, compression. Okay, because temperature is constant. Whatever be the expansion or compression, temperature, isothermal process means temperature is constant. So isothermal compression, which is generally represented up to, continue up to the curve CD, and work done on the gas in this process is represented by the area C, C dash, isn't it? C, C dash, D dash, D. Now finally, it is now moved on the insulating stand one more. It completes one cycle. Here, then it's complete, isn't it? So now it's completed. Now it is not mandatory that first you have to take on the hot body, then insulating stand the same. You can place the cylinder on anything. That's it. So in the four processes, okay. So finally on the insulating stand. Then what happened in this case? Again the one weight was added. In this case, another weight was added. So it means more compression. So more work done on the gas, in further increase, more increase in its internal energy, further increase in its temperature. Again, it cannot give out its heat to the surroundings because it is placed on insulating stand. So it means temperature will increase, it will become hot. Since no exchange of heat between the cylinder and the insulating stand, so it means it is an adiabatic process, which is shown by the graph DA. So then finally it will take this curve, isn't it? Which is represented by work done by that, work done on the gas, D, D dash, A dash, A. Finally. Clear? So this is the PV diagram, the representation of the work done, or the work done by the gas or on the gas of Carnot's heat engine through Carnot's full cycle. Okay. So now total work done by gas. So you can see there are two phases. There are two expansions and two compressions. Expansion is AB and BC. AB and BC curve represents the expansions. AB represents isothermal expansion. BC represents adiabatic expansion. Whereas again two compressions CD and DA. CD represents isothermal compression, DA represents adiabatic compression. Okay. So now total work done by gas during expansion of AB and BC means isothermal and adiabatic expansion. So you can clearly see the total work done which represented by the area in the graph. AB is A, B dash, B dash, A dash, A, B, B dash, A dash plus the work done during adiabatic expansion is C, C dash, B dash, B, or we can write B, C, C dash, B dash whatsoever. And total work done on the gas which is represented by the two curves CD and DA. So CD, it covers this area and is C, C dash, D dash, D. Isn't it? CD and DA, CD and DA, C, C dash, D dash, D plus this curve under which area D, D dash, A dash, A. Okay. So now in the two processes work is done by the gas. In those cases temperature decreases, although after all the temperature is constant. And the two processes CD and DA work done on the gas. So we can see the net amount of work done externally. Why externally? We all know that the external agent, isn't it? External work done by the external agent, isn't it? So we can see the total work done during expansion is much greater than that of area of work done during compression of the gas, isn't it? So because this represents work done by the gas, so we may say the total work done by the gas during expansion, whether it is isothermal or adiabatic, it represents this curve total. A, B, B dash, A dash, and B, C, C dash, B dash. It means total A, B, C, C dash, A dash. We can write A, B, isn't it? It covers isothermal. A, B covers this area, B, C covers this area during expansion. So total covers this area. Whereas during compression, CD it covers this area, C, C dash, and then DA covers this. So it covers this area. So we can say the total work done by the gas during the process of expansion, total expansion, if A, B, B dash, A dash plus B, C, C dash, B dash means A, B, C, C dash, A dash, A, B, C, C dash, A dash minus area during the work done represented by the area during compression, that is A, B dash, B dash, A plus B dash, C, C dash, B, this area. So if we subtract these two areas, we will get area A, B, C, D, isn't it? Total work done during expansion, and this is total work done during compression. So if we subtract, minimize this, if we just eliminate this portion, that is work done from this entire portion, if we eliminate this portion, that is work done during compression, we get only this figure left, which is A, B, C, D. Clear? So now what will be the work done? What will be the total amount of work done by the working substance in case of heat engine? Since it absorbs heat energy H1 from the hot body and H2, obviously H1 from heat body, so obviously H1 is the heat of the hot body of the source and H2 is the hot body of the heat of the cold body. So obviously it will be less, it will be higher. So H1 minus H2. So now if we want to find out the efficiency of the Carnot's reversible or impossible heat engine, it will be that it is equal to W by H1. It is the basic efficiency, which is nothing but the same. The formula of efficiency is the same, since it is kind of nothing but one kind of heat engine. Total amount of work done by the working substance given by total amount of heat energy it is given or it is absorbed. So it is equal to H1 minus H2 by H1, 1 minus H2 by H1. H2 by H1 is equal to T2 by T1. We can say temperature relative to hot body and temperature relative to the same. Okay, H2, T2, H1, T1. H2 is the total amount of heat which increase the temperature, which is the temperature of the hot body, of the cold body, that is T2, whereas T1 is the temperature due to absorbing heat of H1. So now you can say in practical it is not possible to T2 is equal to 0. So that's why in practical life, because in heat engine must, after absorbing some heat and after doing some work, it is must for it will have to gives out some heat energy to the sink or the source. It means after absorbing some heat energy, doing some work, it is must mandatory that it will send some amount of heat energy to the sink. It is impossible for the sink to be 0. That's why in practical life or in reality, efficiency of any normal heat engine is always less than 1 or 100% or less than 100%, isn't it? Which we have discussed in the video of normal heat engine, one directional heat engine. But if it has to be reversible, it means T2 has to 0. If its performance has to be 100%, and it is possible when T2 is equal to 0. If H2 is or T2 is equal to 0, then only in the case eta can be 1 or 100%. It means whatever be the absorbed amount of heat energy, isn't it? It cannot send any amount to it. Whatever be the heat energy it will absorb, it will not send any heat energy to the sink. T2 is equal to 0, which is impossible. It is impossible to make a sink or cold body is absolutely 0. Only in that case it is 100%. Clear? So from this we can see that is a Carnot heat engine, isn't it? A Carnot heat engine is, that's why it's called an, what can I say, is an imaginary concept. It is absolutely impossible to obtain Carnot heat engine in practice. Why? A Carnot heat engine is absolutely impossible in practical life. There are some reasons. That is, you can see in here, the hot body was of infinitely larger heat capacity, and sink body is also larger heat capacity, which is impossible. It means whatever be the heat energy, the working substance will absorb that amount of heat energy, it will transfer the sink. In between there is no heat energy, we will just lost. It is absolutely impossible. Okay, that should have been. And again, one thing is that is the process is reversible, which is also impossible in practical life. Okay, because there should not have been any frictional force, there should have been no change in temperature, isn't it? Base is perfectly conducting, insulating is perfectly insulating stand, means there will be no change in temperature, there will be no change in condition. So all these are absolutely not possible, impossible in practical life. So that's why it is only whatever be the conditions, perfectly insulating stand, perfectly conducting base, infinitely larger capacity of the source hot body or the cold body, there should have been no frictional force, no opposing force, damping force. All these are absolutely impossible in practical life. So that's why it is absolutely impossible to obtain Carnot's engine, reversible heat engine in practice. So from this we got a theorem which is called Carnot's theorem. So it means it is only possible only in case of Carnot's reversible heat engine or any reversible heat engine to possess maximum efficiency or more efficiency operating between two temperatures, that is T1 and T2, hot body and cold body. No other such machine or devices rather than Carnot's reversible heat engine can possess more efficiency operating at the same two temperatures. It means if any machine operating at two different temperatures, then no other machines, suppose any machine, that is one is reversible heat engine and one other machine, both are operating at the same two temperatures, but for other machines it is impossible to obtain or possess more efficiency rather than reversible engine operating at the same two temperatures. It means it is only possible only for reversible engine. The engine may be of any kind of reversible engine. It should not have been, it is not mandatory that it has to be Carnot's reversible engine. If the engine is any kind of reversible engine, only in those cases, for them, only in that case, it is only possible for them to obtain same kind of efficiency. If it is Carnot reversible engine, if it is X, suppose any machine, reversible engine X, reversible engine Y, different types of reversible engine, A, B, C, D, different types of reversible engine. And if they operate at two same temperatures, only in that case the efficiency can be same. And it is only possible if they are reversible engine. No other, it is not possible for any other engine which are not reversible, means irreversible. It is not possible for them to possess the more efficiency or same efficiency like reversible engines which operating at the same two temperatures. One reversible engine, one irreversible engine. If that operate at the two same temperatures, in that case the reversible engine will possess more efficiency. And if there are two reversible engines operates at two same different temperatures, T1, T2 same, only in that case the efficiency will be same, otherwise not. It means the engines has to be reversible. Only in case of reversible engine operating at two temperatures, the efficiency can be same, otherwise not. This is Carnot's theorem. Okay, hope you have understood.